started when I was 12, really, when I really got into music, when I first picked up a set of drumsticks, and I played in a couple of punk bands and with a lot of my friends around then, and I just really enjoyed looking at music and figuring out how it works. So I picked up a guitar and I started teaching myself that, and I got so much into it that I looked at how I could learn more and more about production and recording. So I ended up going to college and studying it, and then going over to university, that moved me to Stafford, and now, yeah, I do it all the time. That's quite a loaded question, because to be honest, it can change. My taste is so varied that what I actively listen to week by week changes. The biggest things right now, I listen to a lot of like post-rock, like Mogwai and Sigur Rós, but equally I may be listening to some dubstep, but the biggest influences that I have are like Floyd and Zeppelin, people who really push the boundaries, the Beatles too, so they're the real big ones, and Hendrix for me. After spending 10 years studying music technology, all the way from like college to university to I've got an MSc in it, I spent a lot of time doing live sound and recording for other bands and artists and such, and I realised that I never really had my own catalogue of songs that I created and I created for myself. So I decided to put a lot more effort and time into it and get back to the basics of why I started down this music production route. And the reason why I do it so DIY is because it's kind of where I started, like messing around in my bedroom, learning, the simple things of EQ and compression, and I don't have the money to go and book into a big studio, so why not do it myself, where in a zone, in an environment that I feel comfortable, when I can spend an hour to half an hour just messing around with sounds and creating something, compared to being so uptight in the studio thinking I'm paying for the, I'm paying by the hour here, I just wasted 50 quid because I have nothing to record right now. It's just so much more relaxing. So at the heart of my studio is my custom built PC. It's a Hackintosh, so it runs Mac OS X. So it's really cost effective. It was $1,200, and a MacBook or an iMac, and you're looking at $2,500 to $3,000. So that was a big thing to get right, because they're not easy to build. I use Logic Pro, and that's another reason why I really need to go down the Hackintosh route, because Logic Pro only runs on Macs. I've used it for many a year, and I also dabble with Pro Tools and such, but I really like the workflow from Logic Pro, and I'm used to it, and whatever music you make, you use the tools that you're comfortable with. With regards to the other hardware, you can see my Yamaha HS7s, which I've had for a couple of years now. Great sounding, tad bright, but they're very much like the home studio standard. I probably would have gone for the smaller ones in hindsight, but they work really well. I recently bought a little 25 key controller with a few faders that can automate, that can control creating filter sweeps and such. It's nice to be hands-on, because before I only really had 25 keys from a different unit, and yeah, they come with drum pads and such, so yeah, just more tactile. When you're using soft synths, it's a lot easier to have actual controls. For guitars, for my bass guitar, I run it through my Ashdown amp, which is a nice amp. I just DI that straight into my sound card, which is a Focusrite Sapphire, over Firewire. It's a lot easier. You can manage your volume a lot easier as well when you're running just DI, and you don't have to worry about miking things. And that's the same with my Boss. So I chose my Boss Katana 100, which is my guitar amp, mainly because it's a great sounding amp. But also I went for that model because it has a DI out. So same again, like when it's 2 AM and you've got an idea, you still can track something without having to wake your other half and your neighbours. So for guitars I use Ibanez, which not everyone uses in kind of make for this kind of ambient genre, but it's a really great guitar and it really plays well, and I really want to look at installing some new pickups in the future, because as I said before, use what you got, because you can spend a lot of money chasing a sound and it doesn't always pan out and doesn't always work. My bass is also Ibanez. I went through a kind of phase of Ibanez a few years back and I really enjoy it. It's nothing special, but it does everything I want it to do right now, and yeah, I'll carry on using it until I feel like I either outgrow it or chasing something else at the time. I also have a 88 key keyboard, which is really nice. It's weighted, and so for piano parts it's really nice to bust out that. So I'm a big fan of film and TV and video games, so I can see myself working on music that will fit in there as well. I'm quite eclectic with music, so I probably will want to try different genres. And I'm working with John from Between Static and Silence. We're working on a little trip hop type EP as well, which is going really well. It's really fun, and it's really nice working with someone else and bouncing ideas off between us. And that's a real new thing for me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes, and hopefully that's out this year too.